I'd like to call the March 14th, 2018 Peters Township Planning Commission meeting to order. Ed, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Salepis and Mr. Marino will not be here. Mr. Berlato?
Here.
Mr. Wiley?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Cartafilas?
Here.
Can I get a motion to approve the February 14th, 2018 reorganization regular meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 14th, 18th.
14th, yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any reports and correspondence?
There's our monthly report in there. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Any statements, subdivisions filed for review?
We have one. It's the site plan, land development plan for the waters of Peters Township Senior Living Facility proposed at Friar Lane and Valley Brook Road.
Any changes to the agenda?
No.
Any audience comments on items not on the agenda? Moving on to new business, the final plan for Stephan Consolidation, 2840 Locust Drive.
Michael and Gloria Stephan is here tonight on two parcels of property on Locust. They're lot 24 and part of lot 25 of the Beacon Manor plan. The plan before you tonight, it's a recommendation to council, just consolidates the two properties into one. It creates a 0.62 acre lot. The properties are zoned low density residential. The minimum lot size in that zoning district is 0.5 acres. This plan simply combines those two parcels into one 0.62 acre lot. Staff's recommending we approve it. And I'm going to take away that condition because they satisfy that, so there's no conditions.
Okay. Any comments?
That's all good.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is the
Thomas, can you lay that in my
revised site plan, Galley Road access to Primrose, 164 Waterdale Road.
This is a revised site plan for the Primrose project under construction at Galley Road and Waterdam Road. The revised plan just simply changes the access to Galley Road to right in, right out. The initial plan that Planning Commission approved showed a full access. They could make lefts and rights, both in and out. PennDOT denied the signal. Therefore, as part of our agreement that we signed with Primrose Franchising Company, we said that if PennDOT denied the signal, then we can look at adjustments to access based on that decision we made. So without the signal, traffic queues up and backs up and will block access to the Galley Road access. So it was our traffic engineer's opinion that that should be limited to right in, right out. They've shown a plan showing a design right in, right out that can accommodate both fire vehicles and or passenger vehicles, and staff's recommending the Planning Commission approve the revised plan with the right in, right out on the Galley. And that's the only change to this plan that Planning Commission saw previously and approved. This is not a recommendation to council. This is just needs to come to you, and then if you guys approve it, then Primrose will build it that way. Let me give you a little bit more background. Primrose traffic impact fee for this project was $212,000+. They have paid that to the township. We are working on an update to our traffic impact fee capital improvement program to include this signal on that list of projects. So at some point in the future, as we accumulate traffic impact fees, we will put this project on and someday get a signal there with turning lanes.
How far ahead is that at?
Why do you think it will happen later and not now?
Well, there's other projects that we have on our list that are more important, and there's more traffic backups at those intersections. For example, Valley Brook and Bebout, Thompsonville, Bebout, East McMurray are higher priorities. We have to work with some property owners there to obtain the right-of-way. At some point in the future, we'll have a signal with turning lanes at this location because it definitely needed.
But his letter of October 3rd to Mr. Mudry, it just seemed like that it was almost ruled out from the PennDOT's and the wording. I mean, I'd love to see it. Nobody in this room that we would love to see it. The wording looked like it was
Oh,
unacceptable.
the PennDOT letter.
Yeah.
That's basically saying that they won't approve it without the required necessary turning lanes. We think that working with the property owners there, we have the easement for the signal poles already. We just need to gather some right-of-way on the, would be, we'll call it the eastern side of Galley and the southern side of Waterdam.
Well, I think the revision is an improvement for sure. I happen to know that route fairly well and can't imagine it not working any other way than it is now. I mean, the way it's depicted.
So if the signal comes in the future, what would happen to this right-in, right-out situation?
They could remove it and make it a full access.
And that would be all on them, whether they decide to do that later.
Correct. The project has full access to Waterman Road. It has full turning movements on Waterman.
I think if this can go with or without the signal, it's the way to go.
Yeah. Any
Shoot,
other commissioner comments? Any audience comments on it? Get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised site plan of Primrose School as detailed in the planning staff memo dated September 7th, 2017.
I don't understand why that should say March.
Strike that. March 14th, 2018.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Next on the agenda is the Planning Commission recommendation on a retaining wall height waiver request by Manalakis.
This is a request to exceed our maximum 6-foot height limitation on the retaining wall. This is a recommendation to council. This ultimate decision will rest with council, but it's before Planning Commission tonight to make a recommendation to council. James Manalakis, he owns 2.28 acres at the southwest corner of Old Oak Road and Route 19. He is requesting the council consider allowing him to build a higher than 6-foot wall on this site. The purpose for that wall would be to accommodate a potential 9,000 plus square foot office building. And the plans that you'll see conceptually show how they would situate that building and parking if the wall would be approved.
And this is, Ed, you want to, for audience and TV sake, you want to, is this right next to the Met Express shopping plaza?
Just the property immediately north, immediately to the right of the Med Express Chipotle location on Route 19.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's going to tie into that parking lot there.
There is a common shared access to Route 19, which is also right in, right out,
Mhm.
that this property has access to. Jessica from Parchman Group is going to go into detail. I'm just going to hit some highlights. Proposed highest point of the wall is 23 feet high. The approximate length of the wall is 280 feet in length. The wall will not be above the elevation of Route 19. It will sit slightly below the elevation of Route 19. If the wall is approved, they've committed to doing it in a decorative, aesthetically pleasing way in terms of the material and exposed wall, how that will look. The reason for the need for the wall is there's a tributary to Chartiers Creek that traverses through the property, goes under Route 19 and down past Old Oak Road. The DEP will not allow that stream to be enclosed, piped. There is, along the entire stream, there's defined wetlands that you can encroach into. DEP has a stream buffer, for lack of a better term, an assumed floodway along that tributary that's 50 feet each side of that stream channel. And there's a spider web of sanitary sewers that traverse through this property. And just the natural topography of the property, it's basically a hole. It sits below the level of Route 19. So there's no doubt that the only way this property can be developed is with some sort of wall. So our township's rules in our Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2298, specifically lay out some criteria. The main criteria is that you can't exceed 6 feet in height. So they're before you tonight to ask that you recommend to council that they be allowed to build the higher than 6 foot wall. My report just says that if planning commission is inclined to recommend to council that the wall be allowed to be built higher than 6 feet, you include those 4 conditions I have listed in my report, which deal with the decorative wall. It needs to be designed by a professional engineer. There needs to be fencing and safety measures at the top of the wall. And the construction of the wall needs to be done under the supervision of a geotechnical engineer, and the township needs to be provided those reports. With that, I'll turn it over to Jessica.
So I need to turn on the microphone?
Please introduce yourself.
Jessica Behringer with Harshman CE Group. Sure. Figure it out. He said he wasn't going to say much, but he said most of it. So this is just kind of a conceptual plan right now. There's nothing really in the final stages. We really wanted to see if we could get that approval for the wall first before we go down further in designing. But as you can see, we're really backed up against the corner of the property here with the building, and then access, like we talked about, through the existing property here, and then a potential for future access this way, but that again will depend on if DEP will permit that stream crossing here, because this is where the stream goes. So starting with basically this side of things in the retaining wall, and then maybe in the future adding on that other access. For now, that's the thought process. We tried to do some sort of tiering, just so you know that we really have tried everything on this site. If you can see, it's kind of tough to see. I think you might have it. But with the double tiering, to have the distance between the tiered walls, the tiered walls would still be higher than 6 feet. But even if you did split it up into 2, you're losing about, I think it was like 20% of your area, your your lot here, and then you're losing almost half your parking spots that you have there. So there really is no way to tier it and still be able to fit everything in that you need to.
Because you can't put the wall in on the, too close to the stream, is that what you're saying?
Right, so we're right up against, right here's the 50-foot floodway, and you can't really see very well on there, but the wetlands are right where the floodway is as well, so that wall is as far out as it can be.
And then you need, how much space do you need between the walls?
It's in your
The height of the wall.
2 horizontal, 1 vertical, diagonal distance at least equal to the height of the retaining wall. So whatever the retaining wall height is, you need that distance between the 2 retaining walls.
Are you allowed to plant any trees or anything up on top of the wall in addition to putting a fence there?
We could look at doing that, sure.
Does that have to be outside the floodplain? Does it have to be outside of that zone?
For,
Top of the wall or the
for the
bottom?
top?
The top. Good, when you're looking at it off of 19, you're going to see this fence. I'm just thinking,
I'm sure we could come up with some sort of landscaping that would, at the top, that would make it look more aesthetically pleasing.
What about that's good. What about landscaping, like below the wall, to hide the visual?
Yeah, we can definitely look into that too. If there's some room there to put that in where we're not disturbing anything, I think that would probably be fine. To get some landscaping below and above.
Well, the way it looks now, I think the wall would be an improvement, so I don't care.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I'd be worried about putting trees at the top because roots would start to.
It definitely depend on the type of trees,
Yeah.
type of landscaping.
Yeah, you would want to do something to take that integrity away.
Right.
I'm just talking about shrubbery or some.
Yeah, something
that's
shallow,
low, just
yeah.
so that you're not looking at a big fence there all the way along there. I think that would be a detractor.
Yeah, we can look into that for sure.
Below it here?
So you bring up some shrubs or trees or what, on the hillside from
On the bottom.
going down?
Sorry, keep on going, please.
That's mostly, you already said all the rest of what I was going to say. The whole thing really does sit below the grade of Route 19. So this isn't going to be a 23-foot wall above grade. Really, it's all below where Route 19 is. So
So you'll never see it from Route 19 unless you look down.
you're looking down, yeah.
And now that you've said that, how tall will the building be with relation to what you're seeing from the street?
Again, we don't really have a final design on the building at this point, but I imagine it's planned right now to be a 2-story building. The elevation of the building itself will probably be around the same elevation of the street, so it's a 2-story building.
Now, because this is on a 50-foot floodplain, is this possible even to build a building here? Or would you be in the floodplain?
The floodplain's delineated on there. It's all outside the wall. So the wall is is
Okay.
outside it. So then everything past that is fine. It's not in the floodway.
Okay, so you should be fine.
Yeah,
The flood zone's between the retaining wall and
Correct.
Old Oak
Right.
Road, is that what you're saying?
yeah. The floodplains and the wetlands, it's all between the retaining wall and Old Oak Road.
So you're just looking for a recommendation by us to council for the wall. This is just still hypothetical on the building, parking, access, all that.
Right, this
You
is
have to come back with
just,
site plan.
exactly. Yeah, this is only to get recommendation for council to be able to waive that 6-foot maximum requirement for the wall.
It's a big variation, I just don't know how you're gonna do anything else with that property without a sizable wall there to begin with.
Mr. Wiley said it best. I think it's going to be an improvement on what's there to begin with, so.
Yeah, it's a tough piece of ground.
It's a tough site.
How would it affect the house to the rear? homeowner to the rear.
That elevation's much higher.
What is?
Yeah, so they'd be looking down on that site as well.
And that's a business back there.
Well, that's a business.
Mohawk Construction.
This is zone what, Eddie?
C2 General Commercial.
Jason.
Geez, I meant, we changed the name, what is it?
General
General Commercial. General Commercial.
Any other commissioner comments? If not, can we get a motion, please?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that Planning Commission make a recommendation to council to approve the waiver of the retaining wall height and in accordance with the March 9th, 2018 memo, 4 conditions.
Anything with landscaping?
And add a 5th condition to add some small landscaping along the top of the wall.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Good luck to council.
Thank you.
We'll figure out when we're going to count. Just gonna let you know.
Any, do you have anything else?
Nothing else.
Okay, hearing nothing else, meeting adjourned.